start with this. Well, Eddie Hearn posted this image via his Instagram. It appears to be a message from one Adrien Broner, who stated that, listen, man, give me $20 million, I will make 135 and knock Devin Haney the fuck out. And, yeah, no.
Are we serious?
I mean, the first thing that I thought to myself upon reading this is, why would you need $20 million
Devin?
to fight the likes of a Devin Haney? I mean, I think Devin Haney's a great fighter. I think he's still got a lot to learn and a lot to prove. And that's just it. You know, Adrien Broner, he's been around the block. He's been in there with some people, and he needs $20 million to fight Devin Haney? For Christ's sake, I don't think he got $20 million to fight Manny Pacquiao, so he's going to get $20 million for fighting Devin Haney?
What are you afraid of?
To which Eddie Hearn replied, forget the 20 and you ain't making 135. But if you want to talk, Adrien Broner, my man, real Devin Haney, said name your weight. He is ready to go. To which Rick Ramos replied, the trainer of Jessica Catskill, give me $20 million and I'll make 135 pounds. I know that's right. And Devin Haney himself reacted to the screenshot from Eddie Hearn by saying, 20 million? Come on, big bro, don't price yourself out. And I mean, I have to agree. You know, I mean, that's what Adrien Broner seems to be doing here. I mean, $20 million, I'm really not sure you even made anywhere near that much fighting Manny Pacquiao. So you're expecting them to guarantee you that for fighting Devin Haney? And this news, if you want to call it that, this development is on the heels of recent images being released of Devin Haney riding bikes with Floyd Mayweather and palling around with Adrien Broner, you know? It kind of leaves me with a feeling that I don't even know if Adrien Broner is being serious here, because, you know, much of Adrien Broner's exploits really aren't to be taken seriously. I've said it here on the channel that I don't consider this guy a pro boxer. He's more of a parody of a boxer, perhaps an entertainer of sorts, but an actual esteemed professional, prize fighter. I don't consider Adrien Broner that. I haven't considered him that for the longest time, and I think that we're all having a bit of fun with this. I mean, we certainly saw a lot of esteemed professionals in Eddie Hearn's comments have a little chuckle over Adrien Broner's asking price, but he can't honestly expect to be taken seriously, you know, with that kind of a demand.
No way.
I don't really know what to classify Broner as at this point, because I don't really consider him a gatekeeper or a journeyman. It being that I've seen gatekeepers and journeymen put up
a fight,
better fights, put in more of an effort towards winning. I've seen gatekeepers with more desire to win a boxing match than what I've seen from Adrien Broner the last couple of years. That's right. There's journeymen out there that you can't look past them, okay? That you can't be asleep at the wheel with those guys, because if you are, they might shock you, they might surprise you. Whereas when it comes to Adrien Broner, you know that if you put him in there with any halfway decent fighter, this guy's not gonna fight.
He's not.
You know, I remember ahead of what was to be the Mikey Garcia fight, I made the mistake of giving Broner the benefit of the doubt, not in the sense that I thought he would win the fight. I didn't think he would win the fight. I didn't actually pick a pony in that show. But I remember thinking to myself that, you know, given where the contest is taking place, the prescribed weight, it's a better weight for Broner than it is for Mikey, because Broner has more experience there. So maybe this will be an interesting matchup. Maybe regardless of who wins, this will be Adrien Broner's last gasp, his last chance to do something.
Do something.
And he didn't even do that. Mikey Garcia went in there, outworked him, outboxed him, and dominated him, okay? I at least expected that Broner would put up some kind of a fight, and he didn't do that. And for me, that
did it.
was the last straw. That was it. That was when I stopped considering Adrien Broner any kind of a pro fighter, because this guy's not a consummate pro
at all.
And when he goes in there and tries to have a fight, he does barely any fighting. You know, a couple of days ago, I think it's been about a week, maybe two, Broner made news for asking his followers to donate, I think it was, $10 to him? via Cash App. I don't know that this guy isn't going through tough financial times, although he might be given the lifestyle that he lives. He still thinks it's like 1999 or 2002. He still insists on, living a quote-unquote rapper's lifestyle. I mean, decadent spending, frivolous spending, really, and who knows what other debts he has amassed. And, I mean, it is possible that he's blown through all of his Pacquiao money. I mean, it is. It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
And perhaps that might explain why his asking price for a Devin Haney fight is to the tune of $20 million. That might be the why, that might be the reason. And, in typical PBC fighter fashion, he's got these ridiculous demands, this ridiculous asking price that doesn't actually align with reality. Because reality is, Adrien Broner's not a $20 million fighter.
Nope.
Nah, not at this point. Now he's just a very familiar face to punch. I'd say he's, I don't know, at this point, maybe a $2 million fighter or a $1 million fighter. I don't know. I mean, I can't see anybody putting up that kind of money just for this guy.
To do what?
I mean, I know Eddie Hearn's generous, but he's not that generous. I don't think he's going to put up 20 million big ones just to have Devin Haney beat up on Adrien Broner. I mean, what boxing fans consider Adrien Broner a tough challenge of any sort? What boxing community out there still has faith in Adrien Broner's abilities? I mean, even against Devin Haney has the kind of physical dimensions to where I could see him competing at 140 pounds and doing very well there because he's still a growing kid, you understand. He hasn't come into his grown man strength. Not yet. He's still a very young guy with a lot of upside. And at 140, I think he will prove to be formidable. But Adrien Broner...
135 or 140.
And can he even still make 140 comfortably? I don't think so. You know what? This might be much ado about nothing. I don't know that this is going to materialize into anything. Just thought I'd chime in, give my 2 cents, but it's Broner. It's Broner. Can't be taken too seriously.
And in this fight right here, it puts him in a position, I guess, right underneath essentially the monster anyway, which is kind of a funny story because when you see Rigo was the first person to beat Broner, and then the monster anyway just recently fought him, and that was actually a very competitive, tough fight.
Yes.
So seeing kind of, I guess, the contrast that one maybe performed better early in the career, is that a fight that you can see materializing, a fight that a lot of fans probably want to see?
Absolutely. The fans want to see the best fight the best. So why not? Rigo, once he win this belt, look, I mean, it makes sense that these guys fight. Smaller guys especially, they should always fight each other because they need each other. So, we're just looking forward to this fight first, then we'll look forward to that one.
I just so happen to agree with the sentiment that Guillermo Rigondeaux did in fact fight a better, more primed version of Nonito Donaire than Naoya Inoue did.
Yeah.
Comparatively, Rigo did much better than Inoue did. He didn't labor in all the ways we saw Inoue labor in the World Boxing Super Series. I mean, if we're going to be honest with ourselves and each other, that is true. That all those years ago,
Back in 2013.
Guillermo Rigondeaux did face a better version of Nonito Donaire, but I think what's getting lost in the sauce here is that all those years ago, Rigo was a better version of himself. He fought a better version of Donaire than the one that's here today, but all those years ago, that was also a better version of Rigo than the one we've got here today, because the one we've got here today in his very last fight looked nothing like the Rigo of old. He wasn't elusive, he wasn't mobile, working off the counters. He was a more stationary target, fighting deep in the pocket and taking punishment as a result. Now, Ronnie Shields, in this same Fight Hype interview, he explained that performance as Rigo wanting to be, I guess, more of a crowd pleaser or wanting to prove that, there's more than one way to skin a cat, but I don't buy that. And I've heard that story before. I've heard that narrative that at, 39 or 40 or 41 years old, however old Rigo really is, that all of a sudden now he's gonna become prone to trading blows deep in the pocket with younger guys than himself.
Prove something.
I don't buy that. I don't buy that at all. I'm of the opinion that if we're seeing a more stationary Guillermo Rigondeaux, it's because his legs are gone. He can't do the things that he used to do before.
Nope.
As these fighters age, the legs, times, they're the first things to go. And I think that Rigo's legs, they're gone. They're not what they used to be, and that's why he's fighting in the pocket these days. I don't give him good odds to win an Naoya Inoue fight. I think that I need to make that clear. There is no triangle theory here, you understand, because these contests are several years removed. I will agree that Rigo put on a more dominant showing against a better Donaire than Inoue did, but the problem is that the Rigo that did that, that's a Rigo from years ago.
A better one.
Not the Rigo that's here today.
Than this one.
So don't read too much into that, because Rigo's not the fighter that he used to be. I see Ronnie Shields' proactive demeanor towards what could be a Guillermo Rigondeaux versus Naoya Inoue fight, and I ask myself, okay,
All right.
I'm not against the fight. I think that there's a precedence for it. I don't give Rigo very good odds to win that fight, but better still, if he wants to have it, I'm not against it as a boxing fan. I just wonder what the expectation is, because Rigo's a PBC fighter after all.
Is he not?
And Naoya Inoue is a top-ranked fighter. We all know this. And we all know that there's a lot of friction there. So when I see Ronnie saying these things, I wonder, what's the expectation? Are you guys going to cross the street, or are you expecting Naoya Inoue to cross the street? Because I can tell you right now, I don't think he will. He's the A-side fighter. He's the unified champion. He's got the buzz right now, and he's garnered himself a level of attention, domestically, of course, and in some ways here stateside. He's garnered himself a level of attention that Rigo really never had and doesn't have, especially here today, now that he's, 41 years old or something like that? I mean, what's the expectation to make this fight a reality? Oh, it's very easy for Ronnie Shields to say these kinds of things during an interview, but if we're talking brass tacks, if we're being serious, what's the expectation? Are you guys going to let Rigo cross the street to have that fight so he can come back with some belts? Or are you going to do the sides of the street thing? You're going to ride that scooter some more? You know, what's going to happen? Because you are on opposing sides of the street.
Are you not?
I wonder that these aren't the beginnings of the next narrative for the usual suspects, that in all the ways that they tried to badger Vasyl Lomachenko with the name of Guillermo Rigondeaux, even though it really was Rigo that was holding things up, I wonder that we're not about to see another chapter in that same book, except now it's not Vasyl Lomachenko, now it's going to be about Naoya Inoue. The saving grace here is that Inoue's very next fight is a unification match with a dangerous puncher, a world champion, in Jean-Riel Casimero. So that at least delays those kinds of conversations for a while longer. That, if Rigo becomes Naoya Inoue's mandatory, I'm not against it. Hell, I'm for it. Make the fight.
Do it.
But it'll be a while before he's got a claim at challenging Naoya Inoue, because unifications trump mandatories, and that's what Naoya Inoue's about to do. He's about to unify his two world titles, hopefully against Casimero for his WBO. I'd like to think that Ronnie Shields being as gung-ho when it comes to Rigo versus Inoue, I'd like to think that him being gung-ho in regards to that fight is cause for celebration, but
Is it really?
I don't know how much stock I can have in this, because as we all know, cross-promotional situations and that level of bipartisanship, that's something that the PBC is not known for. And what this could be is a lot of clout chasing, that, oh yeah, they'll name drop Inoue, like I said they would, and they'll use his name to try to reinvigorate Guillermo Rigondeaux's career without any real intention of fighting Inoue, and all that's going to result in is a lot of boxing fans arguing and bickering amongst themselves, but, for a fight that, may not materialize. Not unless Rigo's down across the street and acquiesce to being the B-side to Naoya Inoue, who, he's the A-side. I mean, he's the reigning champion. You're the challenger. That's what you would be. He's the unified champion. He's put up bigger numbers than you. He's got the buzz right now. You don't. So, I mean, if you want him, I'm all for you getting him. I just wonder what the expectation is. How do they expect to make it happen? And whether or not it will. If it does, and it comes down to Naoya Inoue versus Guillermo Rigondeaux, I can say that I'm confident it's a fight that Naoya Inoue can win, because he's not just a strong puncher, he's also a very accurate puncher with razor-sharp reflexes, the kind of reflexes that Rigo doesn't have anymore, to understand. I know that a fighter's punch is the last thing to go, and at this particular weight, Rigo having moved down from 122, he might actually be a bigger puncher at this weight than he was up there at 122, he might be. It's everything else that's lacking, everything else that's deteriorating. His reflexes, his speed, everything is just a second off because the man is at the door of 40 years old. Hell, I think he's older than that. There are those kinds of speculations. The mobility, the athleticism, the speed, the reflexes, the timing, the punch resistance. You don't take a punch at 40 the same way you took a punch at 30 or 20,
Yeah, no.
It's for this reason I give Naoya Inoue very good odds to win that fight. Though, once again, I don't mind seeing it just to see what happens, because Nonito Donaire did put on a hell of a performance, didn't he? So I won't count Rigo out completely. I think there's a precedence for the match. It's just that if it is to be, I feel that Guillermo Rigondeaux has deteriorated enough that, yeah, Naoya would hurt him. I feel that Naoya quite possibly could get him out of there. However Rigo looked against Nonito Donaire all those years ago, one must remember that this is not the Guillermo Rigondeaux of 2013. This is a more stationary Guillermo Rigondeaux, more prone to taking punishment. And in that way, I favor Naoya Inoue. I can say that comfortably. Let's see if this actually materializes.